So thanks everyone for joining us today for Go Dream, which is a special event for Dream11. Uh, you may have heard about this company, you may have played their games, you may have seen their ads during IPL and whatnot. So an exciting sports tech company which does, which is doing a lot of interesting work in the space of fantasy sports. So they are the biggest company in India with more than 15 million users as of now. And they are on a very, very high explosive growth path, right? So today we are doing this event and I'm Nikunj from Cutshot, a co-founder here. I will be your host. So I will ensure that the whole event flows and I will introduce you to the people at Dream11. And I'll go, before I restart, I just want to, maybe give you a very quick overview of what Cutshot is about, because most of you would have joined Cutshot today for the first time. So you may not be aware of what we do, what we are after and stuff. So if you look at this image itself, this is, this kind of sums up what Cutshot is setting out to do. So our whole idea that we are building the company on is that there is so much of noise out there when you talk about professional use cases. Recruiting becoming the biggest use case, which is everybody's recruiting, everybody's looking for jobs, but still it's so hard for you to just reach the right people. They're everywhere around you. They are on LinkedIn, they are on social networks, they're talking to you, but it's become so hard when you want to actually get in touch with the right people. Right from matchmaking to getting their ear when you actually want something, you want them to hear about your need, which can be hiring or which can be, you're looking for some exciting new opportunity. So this is so much of noise, and what we do, as is shown, in this small illustration, is that we try to make your path easy and hassle-free. So irrespective of, or instead of so many other platforms that you use to connect with people, find if they're interested, on Cutshot you can just get matched to the right professionals and get on with the conversation hassle-free. So that's what we do. Our objective is to make you successful professionally, right? We kill noise, and we do a lot of interesting stuff in the recruiting tech space, of how to find the matchmaking and how to find people, how to match them in real time, how to make sure that they are only talking to the relevant people, and once they have introduced themselves to the right people, how can we move forward the whole process faster using AI and other technology that is coming in now. And it's very small brief on the journey that we have had. So Cutshot as a brand emerged in May last year. So it's been like 1.5 years since Cutshot.io has been live. We have had 75,000 plus users so far. We have had 3,000 people in the hiring roles. On the right, you can see all the companies that use Cutshot on a weekly basis. And then we have seen more than $2.5 million worth of hirings getting closed on the platform. And we also get involved in the community stuff. So we bring people like Sushant Sriram from Xiaomi, Google's recruiting team. We try to make it easy for you to connect and interact with them. Similarly, in a similar vein, we are today bringing you live with the actual Dream11 team that built and scaled the product that we all love now. And that's what we do. So about Go Dream, so this is a unique chance to interact with Dream11's core team. So this is recruiting event, but it's also an event to understand and meet the team that actually built something that has reached such a massive scale. They are cool set of designers, solid techies, product managers, and other people who support this entire in Dream11 infrastructure and team. So this is an event to connect them with you in a very interactive way. So you can chat with them, you can ask them questions, you can propose questions, and you can upvote the questions so they can take up those questions today in this webcast itself. Alongside interaction with them, you can also see their open interests, open roles that they are looking out for. So they're looking for their own Dream11, as Kevin put it today in his LinkedIn update, that they are looking for the next set of people to join their team, and you can look at their open roles and open positions and show interest in the roles. Uh, but as I said, there's so much of noise out there. So how do you stand out? How do you make yourself more attractive? How can you make yourself more visible in front of Dream11's team here? So for programmers, it's an easy way out. You can just take the Dream11 challenge that you can. It's a 100-minute logical programming challenge. It just requires to solve a problem using any language you want. For non-techies, you can showcase your work, you can describe what your biggest accomplishment is, and then you can try to get their attention. And whatever happens, we CutShort and Dream11 have partnered for this event, so that whoever applies during this time frame and is interested in joining Dream11, CutShort and Dream11 team together will give you a fast track response within 10 days. Either yes, no, maybe, whatever it is, but we will try to get you a response. So that's what this event is all about. We have more than 600 plus attendees today, and this event is going to be live until Sunday. So you're going to have more and more people joining in as they come to know about it. We have all people, most of the people, or 95% of people who have joined are techie or experienced professionals, and they are, as I said, techies have a core challenge to stand out. The way to use this or to show interest in Dream11's jobs is that on CutShort you will see event attendees tab on the left, and then you will be able to see people who are hiring. So click on that hash hiring tag. There are two people from Dream11's team, from the talent acquisition team, who have created jobs there. So you will be able to see your jobs. For example, Vivek is one of them. You will be able to see the roles that he is a contact person for, and then you can just show interest in his job. You can only show interest in one job, so choose the job that is closest to your strength or your interest area. So event ends on 17 December, so that's Sunday, 11:45. If you're a techie, you can still take the programming test. A lot of techies have not attempted a test. I understand it has been largely because of you getting to know about the event a bit late, and this being a weekday, you might be busy in the office. So that's why we have kept the event till Sunday, so that you get the weekend as well and nights as well to solve and find time for programming tests. So you can do that, but try to apply for jobs as early as possible so that team can respond to you faster. As early as you apply, you will have better shot at getting the attention from the people. So don't make it too late. Dream11, as I said, we will try to respond ASAP, and CutShort will work with Dream11 to make sure that all applications are responded to by 26 December. Right. In the webcast today, we have a pretty shiny lineup from Dream11. So right from Bhavit, who is the co-founder, Kevin, who is the chief HR officer, to the tech, product, and design teams. So we have we will do a bit of introduction when these people start their talks and their interaction with you. But basically, it's a pretty star-studded lineup today, where you're getting to talk to people who actually built something that we all use, and they have been reasonably and massively successful at what they have done. So it's a lot of lessons that we can learn from them, and I would love to interact, and I'm looking forward to the sessions, which are going to happen now. This is our team, so smaller team here. We all tried hard to make this event happen, so we will be supporting you, and we'll be rooting for both Dream11 as well as you, so that we can all be successful and make a successful community out here. We need your feedback, so we'll be also providing you a survey link. This is a bit long to remember, but we will also be posting a link in the chat section. So that was about the whole event and what we are trying to do here. Now what I'm going to do is, without wasting much time, is we are on time. So 7:15 is the time, and we can start talking. We can start the interactions with the Dream11 team. So let me start by introducing Kevin and Bhavit, who is a co-founder, and Kevin is a CHRO, Chief HR Officer at Dream11. Bhavit also is, is a massive fantasy sports fan. He loves to, even before Dream11, he was pretty passionate about it, and he's kind of literally living his passion right now. So pretty excited to have him here. Let me go back to the webcast and give the focus to Bhavit. Bhavit, welcome to Go Dream on Cut Short.
Hey guys, hope you all are having a great evening as of now. I already people have started asking questions. If you all have not noticed, we also have a poll running right now on whether you played fantasy sports using Dream11. So if you guys can go and poll, we'll tailor our talk accordingly as well. And so while you guys poll, let me just take you quickly through our as Nikunj already said, I've been a fantasy sports enthusiast, and Harsh, who's my co-founder, and me, both of us are great Man U fans, and we've been playing the Fantasy Premier League for over 10 years now. And when the IPL became famous, we were wondering that there's no place to play a great fantasy cricket game anywhere. So we were like, why don't we build one of our own? And that's where the journey began. We started a paid contest around 2012, January 2012. And since then, till around 2015, we had gotten around 1,000 views. We are trying out a bunch of different things. We are figuring out, how to get the model correct. And a lot of unit economics were falling into place. In January 2015, we raised the first round of funding. And since then, we've grown from 300,000 to 15 million users that we are today. So we've seen great growth, and there's a lot of growth remaining yet. As you'll hear from a bunch of people today, by end of IPL, we expect to be at 50 million. And in the next 2 years, we want to go to 100 million people using the platform. So without wasting a lot of time, let me get straight to the slides. Nikunj, if you could move on to the slides.
Yeah, sure.
So it looks like most of you all have not played fantasy sports on Dream11. So let me quickly begin with what is Dream11 and how do you play on. So simple concept, similar to IPL, where Neeta Ambani or Shah Rukh Khan is a team owner and they have a certain budget to select their team. The concept on Dream11 is you select your team. So for example, if India and Sri Lanka are playing a match, there are total 30 players, 15 each in each squad. And you select the 11 players that you think will perform the and you have a certain budget within which you have to select the players. So you can't select all the superstars. You have to be careful about your budget. And once you select your 11 players, and when the match starts, you get to see your points live on Dream11. And you get to see your rank as well based on the competition that you joined. And as the match goes on, you keep on getting points as per the fantasy point system. And at the end of the match, whoever's performed the best is the winner. So that is the basic concept of fantasy sports. Moving on, just a quick slide on what our competitive advantages are. So right now, I don't know, a lot of you all might be knowing about the marketplace model. So the way a marketplace model works is when you have a lot of liquidity in the system. So, we have 97% of our contests filling up, which means that when you join a contest, you're almost assured that, when the match starts, you won't get an email from Dream11 saying that your contest has been refunded because we could not fill up your contest. So, over the years, we've built a great ecosystem and we have a thriving marketplace on our platform right now. We own the category for fantasy sports. So if you look at your Google Trends, it says that fantasy cricket is, if you search for Dream11, it has 15x the searches of fantasy cricket as a keyword. So that just shows that people are aware of Dream11, and probably they're not even aware of what fantasy sports is. But if you tell them what Dream11 is, they'll probably be more aware of that. And of course, along with it comes your stickiness, which is inherent in your gameplay. You know, a lot of people watch sports passively. What we are trying to do is we are trying to convert them into active and engaged sports users. So, you know, when you are watching a match and you have your team on Dream11, you are much more engaged with the game. You want to know what your players that you've selected are doing and how you're scoring points. So there's a lot of stickiness. There are a lot of reports that say that average lifetime of a fantasy sports user is 9 years. So we've been in business for 5 years, and we see people who joined us in 2012 also coming back and playing today as well. So that's how sticky Dream11 is. And 75% of all sport players play with friends. So it's a social game. It's got network effects. So, you know, if you are playing on Dream11, you want your friends. And once your entire ecosystem is playing on Dream11, it's very difficult for someone to move on to another platform, another competing platform. Some of our user stats, we've actually become mostly mobile. If you look at our traffic, 95% of our traffic comes from mobile. We have 10 million downloads on our Android app, around 650,000 downloads on our iOS app. And we do different sports. As of now, it's football, kabaddi, basketball, and obviously cricket. And we have around 2.5 million monthly active users. As I told you, we are funded. We are as of now. In Series A, we got in Kalari and Think Investments as our marquee investors with Vani Kola, who's I'm sure you all are aware about, and Shashin from Think Investment on our board. And Series C came with multiples, and so Sumit from multiples is on the board of Dream11 as well. And some of the strategic partnerships that we have, right? So we've tied up with NBA to be the official fantasy sports partner in India, which is a big deal because you know, NBA is a globally renowned league. They are one of the most forward-looking leagues in the world, and it's been great to have a. We've just tied up with ISL. Probably some of you all must have noticed our ads where we've been powering ISL's fantasy sports platform as well. And earlier this year, we tied up with CPL as well, the Caribbean Premier League, to be their official fantasy sports providers. So as you can see, all these leagues are very interested in fantasy sports because it increases the viewership of the league and the games a lot. Once someone is already joined fantasy sports contest, because you know, irrespective of whether the game is boring or you know, if the game is kind of already over in the result is kind of almost decided, you'd yet want to watch the match. Your players going to perform. So apart from the league, we have partnerships with some marquee of vendors like Cricinfo, CricBuzz, Paytm, and NDTV. And we're always adding to this list. So in a few months, you may hear many more names coming up as well. So with that, I'd like to hand over to Kevin, who's our CHRO, as Nikunj has introduced him. Kevin, please come.
Thanks, Bhavit. Always exciting to hear about and the journey that we've been through. So far, we've listened to our journey, what our business is, and what our industry is like. But what is the Dream11 family like? You know, at Dream11, we don't have employees. We have Dreamsters. So we call ourselves Dreamsters. Everybody who works on the team here is a Dreamster. These are Dreamsters that you can trust. And the one thing that's great about the team is that we care for each other. Extremely intelligent people, hardworking, fun to be with, and people who respect each other. We're a diverse team, clearly, but we're united with one common purpose, which is to make every game exciting for all sports fans. And here's what we can promise you if you are at Dream11. An amazing stadium-like environment that you will absolutely love, a place where you can experiment and the learning will never stop, a place without micromanagement and no bureaucracy, an opportunity for you to create an impact from day one itself. So come join us. You know, the grass is literally greener in our stadium. But the one thing that we always look forward to is what is the DNA at Dream11? What is it that every Dreamster here what is the one thing driving us every single day? And that one thing, the DNA, culture. When we look at what our culture means and where it's actually moving, it's very clear that we want to create the ultimate team, the ultimate sports team in this industry. And the 5 attributes that we look forward to seeing in every Dreamster and potential Dreamster every single day and living every single day is a high performance. And it's not just about delivering your best, it's about ensuring how you and your best, right? We're very clearly never going to be a very large company with a lot of people. We're going to have very few people, extremely high quality people, but we're going to deliver outstanding results. The second is about ownership. Everybody at Dream11 is an owner. We own stock in the company, but more importantly, we are the CEO of something important. Every single job we do is important, and therefore each one of us are CEOs of something important at the company. We've got an amazing culture where we out of your way, we give you responsibility and accountability, and more importantly, we give you a purpose to collaborate with each other and deliver the best to yourself, in your career, and to the company as well. Data is the oil that drives decisions. You know, if you ask for the one single thing, the one decision operating system for us is data. So 99% of our decisions are based on data, 1% is based on gut. We use a very scientific approach when we decide which projects we want to take up and what we want to invest in. We come up with a hypothesis, we decide what experiments we need to run, and the actions and learnings, which we call the heal process, is followed to the T. Of course, when you talk about data, you need transparency. We share almost everything with Dreamsters, you know, right from the salary ranges that we're looking to hire people from the market and looking to reward them with. But all this is just not enough. I think it's not enough because today we have 15 million, and like Bhavik mentioned, and the team coming after me is going to mention, we are looking at going to 100 million users. And therefore, the one important DNA attribute for us is keeping our users first. Just like sports teams are nothing without their fans, Dream11 is nothing without its users. Next up is our technology team, headed by our CTO, Amit Sharma, and also aiding him is our front-end architect. Over to you, gentlemen.
Hey guys, so I'll start off with a quick introduction about myself. My name is Amit Sharma, and as Kevin said, I'm the CTO of Dream11. So I'm really looking forward to interacting with you guys today. A little bit about me. I've always been a technology enthusiast all my life, and that made me pursue computer science as my field of study. And then I actually relocated to the United States, where I stayed for around 10 to 12 years. I'd gone there from a master's that I did in the University of Massachusetts. And I was really interested in systems, you know, consumer-facing and consumer B2C companies. So that actually made me move to California, where I spent like 5 years working for Yahoo, and then I spent the next 5 years working for Netflix. When I thought about relocating back to India, I was like really intrigued by the technology challenges that I saw that Dream11 was facing as they tried to build an infrastructure to build the biggest sports tech platform. And I wanted to use my experience and contribute, as well as at the same time be part of that exciting journey. So if you guys like sports, if you guys like tech, then I think you'll really be interested in what I want to share today. Nicholas, can we the slides? Okay, so what makes what makes tech very exciting at Dream11, right? So to answer this question, so we've already talked about the kind of how our registered user base has grown over the last 2 years and what we expect this type of, right? Now, how does that translate into tech? So let's look at some of the numbers, right? So back in 2016, if you see, our peak traffic that we reached was around 1600 RPS. So as Bhavit mentioned, our user base majority of our user base is actually very actively involved in playing Dream11 using cricket as a sport. So it's not a surprise that IPL is the time where we actually get somewhat of user engagement and the most traffic in our systems. So our peak traffic for every year is our IPL final. So in 2016, it was 1600 RPS, and we reached a concurrent user concurrency of around 45,000. And then that was pretty cool, right? But what happened next year? So as soon as we got to next year, the 2016 number was dwarfed completely. We got funded. We actually improved our product a lot. We invested in marketing, and then we increased our user base from around 3 to 4 million to around 13 to 14 million by the IPL final of 2017. So that translates to million RPM during our IPL final when it comes to requests per second, and a user concurrency of 250,000. Now, that was a challenge for us, but we were able to overcome it. And then what's next? So if you see the projections for this year, this is what we're expecting. And we're expecting 3 to 4x growth, around 50 million registered users, and maybe around 50,000 RPS. So this is the kind of traffic that we're actually expecting. But another interesting aspect of our traffic is of the traffic itself. So our traffic is not very uniform in nature. And why is that? Because our traffic depends on our users' engagement, and the users get very, very interested when a significant event happens in a particular game, right? So suppose Virat Kohli hits a 6 or a bowler takes a wicket. That's where all the interest comes in, and all the users flock to our platform to come in and see what their score is, what their rank is. And so basically our traffic patterns for a particular day can look something like this. Now this is over a period of a day, or a couple of days, but if we actually zoom in further, we can actually, this kind of traffic happens on our system within a couple of minutes. So we can go from like 100K concurrency, 100K concurrency in like a minute, right? That's the kind of system that we want to build. And so we want to build that system, and at the same time, we also want to give a very, very immersive user experience to our users, right? To actually engage them. Now, how do we actually make a system that supports this kind of scale? Well, the answer is pretty popular these days. The answer is completely build a distributed microservices-driven architecture. And that's the path that we have chosen for us as well. Now, why, right? What are some of the reasons why we're actually doing it? Part of it is like a distributed architecture gives you a very high availability, which we need. It's a horizontal scalable system. So as and when the traffic increases, we can actually prepare not only for the next IPL, even the IPL after that and after that. And one very important piece that you get once you move to a microservices-driven architecture is the isolation that you get for your various components, right? So your leaderboard, your contests, your payments can all work in isolation. And if there's any issue on the leaderboard, say, or some other system, the rest of your system just works fine. Whereas in the current monolith where everything is tightly coupled, one small problem in a system or one small scale issue can actually bring the entire website down. So that's why we want to move to a backend where we have this distributed architecture. We are a very, very lean team of just 40 engineers. So we actually put in a lot of time and effort, try to understand what should be our strategy as we go from monolith to microservices. If you go online, there's a lot of articles, a lot of videos around it, but when the more you read, you'll understand that you actually have to define your own path, because the use case depends a lot on company to company. So we actually had the learning ourselves. We decided, like, should we actually start by carving out small services, or should we actually tackle the biggest problems that we have? We took the aggressive approach, right? So the two cornerstones of our product are contests and our leaderboard. So we decided to actually first create these services and bring them out of our system so that we are protected. Now, in order to do that, as we started to work on those, we realized that a microservices architecture will not sustain if we don't have the dependent platform components to actually support it. Now, what does platform components mean, right? So things like a configuration manager that can be run, a request station that traces the request architecture. architecture, a circuit breaker in case one of your services like misbehaves, distributed logging for doing like troubleshooting of the system. These are the kind of things that we actually went in and built ourselves, and we're hoping to be to prepare ourselves for the IPL by actually getting these live, right? And so when I say that we actually started building our microservices architecture, that's not completely true, because right before the last IPL, we had realized that some of our systems scaled to the level that we were expecting. And I wouldn't call it a pure play microservice, or because it was not completely decoupled. But our first service that we actually introduced into our environment was a leaderboard service. We've actually had a lot of learnings while we implemented that service, and that was the first very big data engineering solution that we actually implemented, a distributed solution that we implemented into our production system. And we blogged about it. We had a lot of learnings. So I'll quickly talk a little bit about that, right? Before anything, I wanted to talk. So I've been talking about the leaderboard, right? But I wanted to expand, like, what does that actually mean? The leaderboard on our platform looks like this. So what does that mean? Every user on our platform has the ability to create up to 6 teams and join lots and lots of contests to participate and play, right? And then once they join the contests, the only thing they're interested in is once the actual games start and they start accumulating points, they come into our platform, they actually look at the contests that they're playing in, and they want to see their points and their ranks. Now, this is the system that we actually have to power. Now, what does the system actually entail? We are on 15 million registered user base today, all of them trying to create up to 6 teams and joining so many contests. So we need a system, right? And our contests can actually vary from like the minimum system or minimum contest of around 2 people and a maximum of till date that we've run of 500,000, which would actually go up to 1 million in this IPL. That's the kind of system that we need to build. We need to do distributed sorting of these group by contests, all these teams that users have created, calculate those points, sort them in a distributed manner, and then put them into a storage layer which can actually serve the front end. That's the system that we wanted to build. Another interesting aspect of this system was that it's not that we do this for almost every event that happens in a game, right? So every ball that is bowled, almost we want to update this leaderboard. That means this entire calculation and update and upserts into a storage layer should happen almost every minute. And at the same time, it has to be completely consistent. A user A cannot be seeing a leaderboard that is at, say, over 15, and a user B cannot be seeing it at 15.1. So we need to create completely consistent views for these users. Our old system was completely MySQL based, where we were overwriting the same data again and again and showing just the latest data. But we wanted to actually become more intelligent with our system in the next generation of system that we actually built. And so this is how we tackle this problem, right? So we divided the problem into 2 components, calculation and storage. From calculation perspective, we wanted to pick a system that actually lets us run this distributed scoring and ranking and competitive ranking algorithms in a very horizontal scalable manner. And on the storage side, we wanted a system that allows us to do bulk writes and support a very, very high throughput when it comes to reads. So we chose Apache Spark for the calculation, and we chose Apache Cassandra as our storage layer. Why did we do that, right? Spark and Cassandra are very interesting. Apache Spark as a system gives the atomicity of doing bulk writes and calculations, right? So you know where when Spark writes data, once it's done its calculation, it will either write the entire data or it will not write anything at all. Similarly, Cassandra, we wanted very high read. Cassandra is optimized for writes, but at the same time, it's very good for reads as well. So it actually, because we are overwriting or asserting data, not overwriting, but asserting every minute, we wanted a very high write throughput for bulk writes. And that's what Cassandra is optimized for. Cassandra is actually by default optimized for writes. And along with its tunable consistency, it gives you a very good storage layer to actually horizontally scale as you want to serve that traffic more and more. So this is the system that we designed. And this is the final architecture that I would look for. So Spark and Cassandra were the main components. But actually, in order for this system to work, there was a lot of wiring involved. Right from locking the teams at round lock, that is 1 hour before the game, when you cannot change your team anymore, to moving the data out to S3, then into Cassandra, then read it from Spark, calculate, write it, and then do it at every ball. This is the kind of all moving that we had to actually achieve this. And this system was amazing. This worked very well for us, but we didn't even stop there. We actually optimized it one step further by introducing a local caching layer on each and every server. And we had a distributed way of controlling the eventing that we actually do. So what we were doing was the consistency that we wanted to provide to a user that I mentioned earlier. We did that using snapshots. So for every ball that was bowled, we were calculating the data and storing it as one snapshot. And when the next ball is bowled, we create a new snapshot out of it, and we just switch the view to the latest snapshot, previous snapshots. This is how we actually achieved consistency. So we've talked a lot about it in a blog. I'll share the Medium link to where our blogs are written, and you can find more about it. But there was a lot of learnings for us when we actually did this, and we're hoping to actually completely move to a distributed architecture by the end of next year, whereas our contest and leaderboard services will be ready before this IPO. So we'll be talking about it more on our blogs as we keep on doing the work. Now, this is on the backend side of things, right? But we also, as I said, we are also interested in that the backend fires a very immersive user experience and engaging user experience, right? So what's our strategy around that? So Tushar, who's our front-end architect, will talk a little bit about that.
Okay, so hey guys, my name is Tushar. I'm a content architect here at Dream11. Right now, we are working on revamping our mobile and the desktop website. So to give you a brief overview of what we are trying to do is we're trying to build a PWA. And why we're trying to build a PWA is because we already have great native apps. Our iOS app was featured in the App Store twice. Our Android app has around 1 million daily active users. And apps provide a really smooth, really rich experience to a user. But we all know that web always has a better reach. You can just share the URL with anybody on WhatsApp. You can share information really quickly. You don't have to go to an app store to download the whole app. The amount of data that is needed to view any content on the web is very less. So PWA bridges the gap between a native app and the conventional web application. So here we try to exploit some of the browser native features, which kind of gives you a feel that it's on a native platform. For instance, if you look at the slide, you can see there's no address bar in this. You can see that there is no address bar, and it just feels and works like a native application. So we have things like, whenever you change your route, there's an animation. You don't have to wait for the network to respond back. And we are trying to build that kind of smoothness that you get in a native app. We have a very modern design with things like touch-based animation. You click and swipe, and those native kind of experiences that you get in a native app. So our use case is very unique from a PWA point of view, apart from the general platform-related problems. We face erratic traffic patterns, and because of which we cannot cache a lot of stuff. We cannot render static pages like a lot of other PWAs out there. So we have to render everything on the client, and it has to be really precise in terms of timing. We cannot render stale data. So this has its own set of unique challenges because we cannot cache. We have to. It just we also cannot increase our payload because every time we are making a request, we are using data. So at the same time, we have a lot of application logic. We have a lot of validation. We have a lot of checks. And all this eventually increases our overall bundle size that we send to the client. This basically means the initial page load time just increases significantly. So what we've done here is we've built our in-house framework. This framework is so small in size that the framework plus the application logic, everything included, just loads your application in around 80 KB. So 80 KB, and you also get, so we've done this so that we don't depend on external frameworks. This helps us in making micro optimizations in terms of performance. It's easier to maintain when there's an issue. We don't have to go to that framework's GitHub repository. We can just fix it there and then and just deploy. PWA also helps us. The current PWA actually loads in 2 seconds. So when I say loads it, I mean the real useful, meaningful content that the user can see is under 2 seconds. And he can actually interact with the application under 2 seconds. We also benefit from having a much faster release cycle. We don't have to update the application, wait for the app stores to approve it. In fact, we on an average deploy like 20 times a day, and we are able to do this because we have insane amount of unit tests. We have very good integration tests. We can just commit, make a commit, push the changes, and just deploy. We are also planning, so because of this, these faster release cycles, we are planning to have our A/B testing framework first integrated with our PWA. This will help us in much better user testing, and all those learnings can again be applied on iOS and the platforms. So this is it. I think if you have any questions for us, just feel free to respond on the channel.
Thanks, Ishant. So in the end, what I wanted to say was like, so we're doing some awesome stuff in tech here, but at the same time, since we are a very lean team, we don't want to reinvent the wheel. So what do, right? Our strategy is go out there and pick the best state-of-the-art open source technologies as well as managed services things in the AWS stack out there, and actually use those to build our solutions, right? So first and foremost, we're completely hosted in AWS, right? Amazon AWS Cloud. We don't have any presence in the data center at all. This is a picture of some of the most important technologies that we use, in which we've developed the skill set as well as we've deployed it in production, right? So we, as I said about Leaderboard, is powered by Cassandra and Spark. Now we're using the same stack to build our loyalty system, that is gamification, and at the same time, our promotion dashboards. We use Amazon Elastic Cache, which is like Redis managed service by Amazon, heavily for our caching layer. Our use case is so interesting that Werner Vogels, who's the CTO of Amazon, actually cited our testimonial in one of his blogs, talking about how amazingly well we're able to leverage Elastic Cache to serve the kind of traffic that, right? When it comes to, we use it Kafka instead of, so sometimes we choose a managed service like Elastic Cache, but sometimes we just go to the open source component directly. Like instead of Amazon Kinesis, we chose Apache Kafka as our data pipeline as well as an eventing pipeline. Talking about data pipeline, I wanted to talk a couple of minutes about how do we think and perceive about data and what's our data vision, right? So Dream11 is a highly data-driven company. All our decisions are data-based, and we understand the value of data. We're investing heavily in our data engineering efforts, and we're starting building teams, and we've actually started our ingestion platform right now. But within a few months, I expect us to gather, and very soon we expect to run really, really impressive machine learning algorithms and models that we have today in production at scale to provide things like personalization and other kinds of user experience and enhance the user experience as much as possible. So there's going to be a lot of interesting stuff happening on that front as well. And all of this, if you want to find out more and you want to stay in touch with us, this is how you can do that. So this is the two best ways to reach us, along with all the other things that Prashad is sharing, right? So Dream11 is our Twitter handle. We keep talking about the events and stuff that we're actually doing that we actually want to share. And then as and when we actually try to solve a problem, we actually talk about it on the blog that we have. Again, just to share with the community. So if you have any questions, let us know. Any questions? Okay. So yeah, on the tech side, any questions on the tech?
Yeah, Amit, so there's one question. We can take one question now and then move on to the other topics. And then in the end, we will collect all the questions and maybe get all of them answered in one shot, right? So one question was around the deployment. So it's pretty intriguing that you talked about the scale, the responsiveness that you need to do. So within a minute, you can have 4 times or 10 times of requests that were coming in earlier.
Correct.
How do you manage that kind of responsiveness in your build that kind of capacity when you are on the cloud? Because that spike needs provisioning, and provisioning also takes time.
Absolutely. So that's a very interesting problem, right? And that's one of the biggest problems that we face when it comes, because our systems, the traffic patterns that we get are such that we do not have the time to react and use the scaling measures that Amazon and other service providers provide, right? So we always provision for peak. Our strategy is always to provision for peak, and there's a lot of so it's during the tenure of a game, a lot of our resources 30 to 40%, and then that's what we live with. But that's our story. So, another thing is from a match to match itself on a day-to-day basis, right? So, for example, a Bangladesh-Sri Lanka game one day, India-Pakistan, there's a tremendous different kind of scale that we actually see, right? So, we actually are building a system that, from that perspective, that will actually intelligently understand the kind of games on a particular day, and then automatically figure out the kind of infrastructure that they need to build. And our DevOps team, our automation team is working to this integration, testing, and deployment framework. And at the same time, that we integrate with capacity planning, and we have a completely automated system for that.
Okay.
So I'll pass it on to Anuraj, who's our director of user experience. And as I said, users are very, very important to us. So Anuraj takes very good care of them.
We have 150 users.
Right. Yeah, hi Anuraj.
Hello.
Yep, you're audible.
Hello, everybody. I hope there are some designers in there as well. I'm happy to see some questions around user experience. And I think Pranav just asked, how do you do user testing? So I will get to that in a little while. But let me just give you a brief overview of how we approach design at Dream11. How do we design for fantasy sports in India? And how is it different from anything that I've ever done in the past, or if you join Dream11, you will ever do? So, yeah. How do I need to? Yeah, but, okay. So, before I get into this, I just want to say that where was design a few years ago, right? I mean, people used to replace design with usability. I mean, that was the goal of design, I think, a couple of years ago. But now usability is kind of given. So when we design anything, if we don't aim for usability, that's not our goal. That is a given. And we start with other important things like emotions, trust, transparency, and just having a good overall user experience. So that brings me to the first point, which is creating a mental model. And I mean, if there are UX designers here listening to me, you all know how important mental models are. I mean, every research that has been going around, their aim is to just tap into the mental model of the user, because once you have it, then it's very easy to design a system around it. You just match the expectation of the user, or maybe delight them, and you have a good user experience. But what happens in case of fantasy sports in India is whenever we go for a user research and we try to understand the mental model, we realize that it does not exist as of now. So that is one of the main challenges that we have always faced. And I mean, I'm looking at the poll right now, and around 70% of the people here in the talk have not played on Dream11. So basically, they have not played fantasy sports at all, I'm assuming. And most of you might not even know how it works. So that is one of the main challenges and one of the fun things that we do here. Another thing is, so to give you an example, you know, it's like designing a flight ticket booking system for people who don't know what flights are. You know, that is the kind of problem we are trying to. So that is why we have to create a mental model instead of finding it, and then create a mental model around the existing ecosystem of sports in India and then design around it. So moving on to the next point, when we actually do these researches, when we talk to users or we talk to sports enthusiasts, we find that there's a great deal of emotion. I mean, I have worked for e-commerce and other industries before, and the users are generally looking, they're very task oriented. You know, when they come to a particular website or platform, they know what they want to do and they want to get it as soon as possible, and that's it. But when we deal with our users, they are very emotionally packed sports fans. I mean, you know, getting a stadium ticket for a big match is very painful, but people go through those extents because they're driven by emotion. And these are the exactly same people who come with that emotion to our platform. And as a design team, we have to tap into that emotion and to tell them that, you know, your experience can even be more enhanced if you play fantasy sports with us. Your every match, even the boring matches, will get exciting. So that is the next fun part that I enjoy working on here. The third thing is designing for diverse personas. I mean, cricket and India, you know how many different types of people come into that category. And the same is some users are playing with friends, you know, they just want to play with friends. And some users don't want to play with friends. They want to play with strangers. They want to challenge a larger bunch of people and then post about it and things like that. So that is another challenge we face. You know, from ages 18 to 40, 50, I've talked to a lot of different types of users and they have different motivations to play. So how do you design to meet each of those expectations is really exciting and fun. So these are the three things I wanted to, you know, talk about because comprises of how we are designing for fantasy sports in India. It's a new thing. I'm sure this challenge was faced by even other industries when they came to India, when people didn't trust e-commerce. You know, they were not comfortable with the idea of buying something which they just see online. And, you know, they can't touch it, they can't see it. So that's the same kind of problem we are facing here. And it's fun. So moving on to show you some of the features that we are very excited about. So one of the things is some social features on Dream11. So right now, if you see, the platform is, it's a great platform to play fantasy sports, but it's also a little bit, you know, one-sided interaction. There's no connect between people, and you know, people can talk about their mutual interests and they can follow each other and challenge each other. So that is one set of features that we are trying to build, and it has a great transformation power to take this fantasy platform, you know, and convert it into a fantasy sports community amongst users. And I'm very personally excited about it. You can see the screenshot, if you can see it there. I mean, this is like the activity feed of the user. So you can see your activity, the people who you are following their activity. You can challenge them, follow them. You can have a private contest with them and stuff like that. The next thing, the next feature that I'm excited about is the redesign of the leaderboard. So I think you saw one of the screenshots of the leaderboard that we have currently, and it does not have a tool for engagement. So this is one of the ideas where you can select, your team is already selected, and you can select any another team from the leaderboard, and a one-on-one heads-on comparison between your points and that team points. And you can even drill down further to see how those points change during the match. You can go to the first over of the match and see what happened there, because of which this guy's team went up. So this makes the leaderboard a little bit exciting, and also at the same time, it makes the leaderboard more transparent, and that leads to trust. Like, people will trust that the other people can interact and have fun. I think that's it. So I would like to get to that question of, I think Pranav asked, how do you do user testing? So we actually meet our users on a weekly basis, and so every week we have some designs, even if they are paper prototypes, we have something to test. So we are ready with them, and we are ready with the protocol. What do we want to test? We write that protocol down. We set the markers where we will say that the design is a success or a fail. I mean, I won't go into the details of it here. You can connect with me offline if you want. And then we test those tasks with the users. We see if they are able to do it. If they are not able to do it, we then reiterate it, and then we test it again the next week until we get success. And then we move ahead to further design, tasks like user interface design and stuff, and then we make it live. Then we give it to the development team. So this is kind of an overview of how design works at Dream11. And so if you guys are interested in applying for it, I think Neha has shared the link, so you can use that to apply. So if there are any other questions for design user experience.
There's one question, looks interesting. This is about, do you have any plans of integrating VR compatibility?
Virtual reality.
Correct.
No. No, definitely not. But yes, AR, yes. We right now even on our app we have a AR functionality. You can see when you create your team, you can actually view your team using augmented reality on any of the surfaces. So you turn that view and then you point it towards the floor, your table, anything, and the team gets projected there. So of what we're trying to achieve. Yeah. But no plans for VR.
Okay. So we answered the user testing question already. So okay. So then we'll move on to the next one.
Yeah, sure. So I'll give it to Fayaz and Himanshu from Toronto.
Okay.
Hi everyone. I'm Fayaz from the product team.
Hi, Faz.
Hey, hi. I think great evening. I think there was a pretty lively audience out here. I just want to, get into our presentation today. So what it takes is, you've seen us talk about how we are raised to 15 million, and we have a stars to move to 15 million by the end of IPL. So what it takes to 15 million, definitely our strategies doesn't sort of help us to hit 15 million. We constantly look at the way we work as a product team in terms of our scalability of our product and what strategies works for us. So we have narrowed it down with 4 major pillars our product team focuses on this year. First, to get our culture right, which Kevin spoke in the front. Right? So we'll talk more about what our culture is in terms of how we are structured, in terms of our dream teams, and how we are basically data obsessed and user first. And we'll also be, talking about how our practical expansion is in a way form of acquisition, right? So we have now expanded into NBA, ISL, how some of these products have helped us bring 1 million customers on board. And as we sort of expand our reach, we would want to go into the other set of segments which we are now tapped. We are now targeting to have more segments which are having mobile numbers, which are on the slow side of the internet. They would want for lighter apps. They have a different kind of usability issues compared to the ones which are currently online. So how do we onboard the next set of customers into our ecosystem and have a consistent experience? Is that that's the biggest challenge the product team is solving on. And then basically the product team is also working on how do we have a better engaging experience as we sort of get these users onboarded. How do we basically give them the best in class experience and engagement? So we also sort of building our loyalty, and how do we sort of make each of these experiences personalized to every user, and also make it a social play. How do we basically make this game into a social experience between the users? Right? So I think we'll first talk about our culture and the teams. I would invite Himanshu to talk about.
Hey guys, so I guess most of you are working at different places. Most of you are engineers who are working with product managers, and you have seen a lot of these processes that work in different companies. So I would just touch upon how and what is different about it. So one thing is that we don't have a top to bottom approach. So anybody in our team can ideate. So it all starts with an idea. So we are structured in a thing called dream team format, where generally a product guy is the captain, but that also is not the rule. So anybody can be the captain as long as the team wants him to be the captain. So it all starts with an idea where everybody votes on that idea on 3 parameters. So the parameters are impact, confidence, and ease. So by impact, basically we mean what is the business impact of that idea? how much of the confidence we have on that idea, and all these things are driven by data. So essentially, ease is determined by the technical ease of doing things. So we sum it up, and then that is how we prioritize. So any idea that has a better score goes to the production first. Now, we also have an exception to this rule, which comes when there is a user problem. So whatever priority product team has decided or any dream team has decided can be changed anytime if there is a genuine user problem that needs to be solved first. So these are the pillars of our working culture in a product and tech-driven team. Dream teams are structured in a format where they are both product people, tech people, and QA, and they get help from design, and they get help from everybody else to take their ideas live. Now, once we have done this ICE process by which we do the prioritization as to what should go first, then it just does not end after going live. So we have a process called HEAL, which basically talks about how do we keep iterating in product. So everything starts with an idea which has a hypothesis. So hypothesis would be like something that this idea will change some business metric by this amount. Now, once we go live, we actually experiment with, that is the experiment of our hypothesis, whether we are able to achieve it or not. Whatever be the result, we analyze the result, and sometimes we'll be able to achieve, sometimes overachieve, sometimes we'll not be able to achieve a hypothesis in the live scenario. So these all the points we capture and put it into learnings. And these learnings then lead to another ideas. So this is how we keep on iterating our product and make it better for users and achieve the goal of a good user experience as well as having the maximum business impact. Next slide, Nitin. Okay. So like Bhavit also talked about and Fayaz also touched upon, that it's not just that we are only a cricket company, but we keep getting new partnerships, which basically will ensure that in future our growth is fueled by these partnerships. And also because a sports lover is not just a cricket lover, he delves into many sports. So we earlier had 2 years back only cricket and football. Then we got kabaddi in. Now we have partnership with NBA, which is the biggest league in the world and which are expanding big time. They have big plans for India, and we are the only official partner in fantasy for NBA. Similarly, ISL, we are the only partner that ISL for India this year. And for basketball NBA, we had a new solution. So it's not just that somebody talked about how will we partner with Bet365 and as a question I saw. So first of all, it's a game of skill which has been proved many times over in different places. And second, basketball, we are also offering a solution called free to play solution with rewards, wherein you get coupons which you can monetize the amount. So we have different kind of solutions for different service providers, and this is one of the experiments that we did with NBA. So yeah, now Fayaz will touch the other points.
So what's in our store for the next 3 months or 2 as we ramp up our traffic to IPL, right? So one, we are basically on personalizing our experience to the users. The way we are trying to do is basically launch segmented contests for each different segment of users. By this means, we are trying to say a new user will be able to sort of play only with similar new users, trying to sort of protect them from the sharks. And we are sort of personalizing the whole experience to each user from which cohort to which he belongs to, right? And we also launching our loyalty program soon, where you can sort of know your levels in the platform. So every user on the platform will know his levels, and he can sort of take he knows who's he competing against, and we also planning to launch our rewards around it, where you can sort of win different rewards as you sort of move above the levels. And as we sort of create an immersive and an engaging platform, we want to sort of make it wider reach. As Tushar and others spoke about, we have sort of launched our PWA app, which is the lightest app out there, and by this we are planning to sort of reach it to a large, wider audience who are mobile number only first, and this will sort of help us widen our base and sort of reach out to this audience, and we'll soon be opening this app to a larger audience. So that's it from our product side of things. Happy to take up any question that comes up.
One question, of course, is about PWA versus mobile apps, right? So, how will you, because, and this is a context of Myntra discontinuing their desktop app and then they relaunching it. So, how do you see all these different and not cannibalizing each other in terms of experience and in terms of your goals that you want to balance?
So I think for us, we feel that we should be where the user is, right? We put user first. Whatever the user is comfortable using, he should have a best-in-class experience, right? Be it desktop or mobile web, or he's coming from a smaller screen or a feature phone, right? Like whichever phone that he's coming on or the device he's using, we should give the best-in-class. That is the principle in which we operate, and we are trying to sort of get a best-in-class experience across all our applications. And we feel that by giving the best-in-class experience, we will be able to sort of get the customers to play with us, engage with us. So that's how our thought process, our philosophy in terms of in terms of cannibalization. Of course, yeah, there will be some kind of cannibalization, but as long as the user is happy with the application that he's using, he's comfortable in playing the game, I think why not allow him to do it.
And one more question, and this is coming from Prateek Khandelwal. So, and this I think is a pretty relevant question. So, as people start using and start playing Dream11, and they become old, they grow with it. The question is that I feel there is nothing there for regular players. So, like leaderboard is not providing nothing new to the people who have already been playing for long. So, fatigue of the user basically.
I think that's why we are bringing in a loyalty program for all kinds of users, right? So we'll be launching our loyalty program soon. So watch out for this space. So we'll be sort of bringing in a lot of rewards along with the loyalty program. We'll soon get out with more details, but I think that's what we are sort of planning in terms of our user engagement and how do we keep all users happy and not just keep few users happy.
Okay, and next one is pretty interesting. Shivaram Krishnan is asking if you have any plans of using blockchain technology to ensure faster reach as well as have potentially common rewards in the form of cryptocurrencies and stuff.
So I think right now it's not in the roadmap in the near future.
Okay. One question is about the huge uninstall rate for mobile apps in general. What are your retention numbers like?
Okay, so our retention numbers are best in the class in the industry. We a lot of users, since it is like a gaming app, right, and we have a lot of games coming out throughout the year, our engagement is pretty very high. And obviously, people don't want to sort of keep like heavy apps on the phone, which they keep sort of uninstalling and reinstalling basis the usage. For us, it is more to do with the sport and the sporting calendars throughout the year, and people sort of keep our app more on their phones. And our retention and our numbers are pretty healthy. in terms of users coming back and playing as a game. And that's how it works for us.
Okay, let me just mark this question as answered. So there were some questions about this kind of platform not being allowed in India, but India does not allow betting. How do you plan to have partnerships like fantasy leagues?
I'll pass on the question to Bhav.
Sure. So let me quickly touch upon the legality bit as well. So there is games in India are classified into two types. One is games of chance and games of skill. Game of ultimate chance would be roll of a dice, because every time you roll, there's a probability that you will get a different number. And game of ultimate skill is chess, which if you play a grandmaster 100 out of 100 times, you'll lose against a grandmaster. What the law in India defines is that if you are a game of majority skill, you are allowed to play with money. Fantasy sports is categorized as a game of majority skill. So there's more of an element of skill than chance. And proven through the data that we have, it has been approved by few people. And recently, the Punjab and Haryana High Court also fantasy sports as a game of. So that's in short what the legal is. If anyone has further questions, happy to answer.
One question for I think Anuraj.
Yeah.
Why did you choose red color as a brand color?
So we actually put it as in the comment, and so it was red signifies passion, and that's what we are building. A platform where passionate sports fans converge, and a passive sports fan becomes an active sports fan who then becomes a passionate sports fan. So that was the primary reason of choosing red. And of course, Harsh and me, as I said, are massive Man U fans, and red is their color, so it was no brainer, right?
I think there's a very good follow-up question. So Sanil asked this question and he countered. So his point is that mostly red is used for showing errors and negative values. So in an app or in a UI which is primarily red, showing errors and negative values becomes hard. So then this becomes a question for Anuraj, saying how does he balance this and how does he manage this?
Sure. So very valid question, and yeah, we do face this problem. But I mean, if you read about the user experience of errors, right? How to handle errors. The first thing that comes is error prevention, and if you handle that carefully, then there is no need to actually display errors. And I mean, this entire thing of showing errors in red below the text fields and all of that are really going to be outdated in a while. And we are moving to, formless registrations, just a mobile number and OTPs. And while create team, all the errors that come, they are very contextual. So they come from this drawer on top that does not disturb you, and they don't need to be in red. Otherwise people will get irritated if something flashing comes every now and then. So first part of the answer is towards error prevention. So we don't even want to keep a color for errors. And secondly, we are moving away from this forms-based interaction where we need to signify a color to, text errors and stuff like that. I can't hear you. I think you're on mute.
Point, the thing which happens typically is that the brand color gets chosen very early, and that typically the founders choose that color because they cannot think of any other thing, and they just need to get a palette in. So like we chose a purple color because we wanted to push out something, and then we chose purple. We tried out different palettes, and we like this. Now since then we have been stuck with this color, and we like that, but sometimes we get constrained because of that. and it becomes so hard because as you have grown and you have increased your reach, people get attached to these things, and then it becomes very hard for a company to move away from whatever your previous decision choices were, and then it becomes difficult to go away. But it's a good constraint, a good problem to have, for designers to marry both of these things, having the past and also prepare for the future.
Although we did face this problem, and we still right now, I think we have on some screens this problem that something is in red because of a brand color, and then it might be interpreted as a negative thing. And users come first, user experience come first. So we would look at rebranding stuff and all. But as I said, it's all, I feel it's all outdated, all getting outdated in a while. This entire experience of having errors in red and text errors and stuff like that. We want to make things contextual. So like if you see, I'll give you a very small example. If you try to log in into your Mac, right? If you enter a wrong password, it's just wiggles. It does not show anything in red, any text or anything like that. Just a gesture tells you that there's an error. So we are trying to move towards that. So that eliminates this need of changing the company.
Okay, so we'll take one more question for Anuraj since he's there on the screen. So one question is somebody who apparently is your diehard user. He's saying, give me an option to join multiple teams at once.
It's in the pipeline. Yeah. Hey, tell him the guys are clapping.
Yeah, everybody's clapping here. One of the things that I've been trying to push, like we all have been trying to build that. So it's definitely going to come there.
Okay, Deepak, then you are happy. They're working on that. So hopefully you'll get that. Okay, I think before I think we don't have any more questions for Niraj. Now we have one question for Bhavit, which is how did you hire your first 3 or 4 employees?
Sure, I was actually just typing out a response to that, but since you asked, let me speak about it. So it was quite difficult to hire the first 3 to 4 people, to be honest. We had actually outsourced the development of Dream11 to a third party to start off with, which is a big mistake in hindsight. So if anyone needs any tips, don't do that. But, what we did is we reached out to multiple people, and what we realized at the end of the day is that you have to sell your dream, you have to sell what you are building, and eventually you'll find people who buy into your entire story, and that's those are the guys who will actually believe in the story of what you're trying to build, and they'll be the best people to build it along with you.
Can you hear me? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, we can do it.
One question is about, are you guys going to add F1?
So not right now. We are looking at adding multiple sports. We've not thought about F1 right now. All the focus is towards IPL. So whatever we do will be after IPL. One thing we need to figure out with F1, obviously we can't select one person who's going to win the race, for example. So we need to the mechanics of how to make it a skill-based game. And once we figure that out, we'll probably look at launching F1 as well.
Okay, so thanks, Bhavit. The next question is for Fayaz, I think. And the question is that there is a bifurcation in the point system for ISL and other football leagues. So why is that?
Sorry, come again.
So the point system works differently for ISL and other football leagues.
Yeah, so basically, ISL wants to have a special partnership with. We have a way in which ISL sort of runs the feeds for its system, and we wanted to be sort of consistent with the way the points have been sort of done with the way the ISL site handles and the way we are handling. So that's why we are sort of having a different set of points for the way the match is being designed for ISL and football. That's the next. We are sort of trying to see how we can help this experience across ISL and other football. And we'll soon try to the board to be as close as
Okay, one more question that is from Ayush is about what kind of analytics challenges do you face? Can you give an overview, perhaps?
That's a great question. So if we look at our users and data, right, like we generate close to 3 to 4 billion events a year, right? So how do you basically handle so much of instrumentation data at scale, right? So we have a very good analytic stack. We have sort of right now plugged in a lot of third-party tools to sort of support this, support our systems. We are we are on Amplitude. We have done with CleverTap, right? So we have like a bunch of tools across the board to sort of help us in terms of our funnel numbers, our conversions, numbers, etc. In terms of our databases stuff, we use Looker to sort of daily numbers in terms of our data queries, etc. And also we are using our AdSpire and other tools for attribution, right? So that's our whole analytics stack, which sort of combines different third-party tools to sort of solve different sort of use cases that we have.
Okay. You might want to look into the Q&A window. Someone wants to provide you a heading F1 to make it interesting. Okay, so I think can we have Amit? And I think that would be like let's wrap up in like 5 minutes. So one question for Amit is about data scientist role. So what is the role of data scientist about at Dream11?
So we are at a very stage of data science driven solutions on our product, right? So we've got a lot of interesting projects at the end of the pipeline. One of them is like who is the contest that how do we generate the most relevant contests for the users to enable personalization. Then there are some things around identifying anomalies in the system. We have some projects around that. So there's a lot of interesting stuff. We have an open position with data science out there. If someone is interested, you guys can reach out to us, and once we connect, we can always give you a lot more information at that point. And typically, people who are around 3 to 4 years of experience on the data science field, be it in ML or AI or NLP or anything or any of those. A lot of classification problems and.
Okay, next one is, can you share more on consistency with respect to distributed leaderboards?
So actually, I answered to one of the questions. We have a detailed blog written on Medium describing our entire leaderboard architecture and about what kind of consistency are we talking about. Feel free to head to our Medium blog, read it up, and if you still have questions, feel free to comment under the blog itself, and we are very responsive there to actually, we can definitely engage. If you have further questions, like feel free to contact us via Twitter handle as well. But that blog should answer majority of the questions when it comes to leaderboard and how we actually architected the solution.
Okay, all right. So sure. So go ahead and you can talk to them on the Medium blog. A lot of tech and stuff that you guys are working on is pretty interesting. So I think more questions will follow up on caching, deployment.
The more right, right? So
right. So great. So can we have like Kevin and then maybe Bhavit and then so we can close it off.
Yep.
So Kevin, one question for you. Any idea to open a development branch in Bangalore?
No, not in the near future. I think, as part of our focus and as part of our culture, we are looking at being in Bombay in one single office. So we'll either expand this office or take a completely new office in Bombay itself, or Mumbai as it is known today.
Okay. About your working environment.
Just to even explain about moving to Bombay, I think it's a fantastic city. Here, and we're building one of India's most important tech company sitting out of Bombay. It's a fantastic place, and we make it even more easier for Dreamsters to actually be out here and enjoy and create a new tech ecosystem in India out of Bombay. Yeah. So we've got some fantastic benefits, that you're just reminding me about. I think we've got, the ability to live close to the Dream11 office, which we call our stadium, and we even provide, part of your rent for that. We make it really simple to commute to work. We've got some amazing benefits, that simplify working, performing at Dream11. So we invite people, regardless of city, regardless of the state that you are in, come to Bombay, make your career with Dream11.
So what would be your two reasons that you would give to people who are in Delhi or Bangalore, comfortably living a life there, to move to Dream11 in Mumbai?
Very clearly, I think the first most important thing is that you can be part of India's WhatsApp story. You heard about the scale of our growth, right? And for this particular thing to happen, for you to be plugged into this rocket ship that we are set out on, this is the right time, and to be part of this tech story that we are building out of Bombay, which is very clearly, the next WhatsApp story in terms of growth of users, it's an amazing, amazing opportunity. Don't miss out on it just because you feel you're comfortable in your location. The second is about your purpose, so you can do a normal job in a normal company, or you can do a fantastic job in a great company like Dream11, in the company of stalwarts and great people that you see out here. So we invite you to be part of the Dream11 journey and to be a Dreamster.
So to pick up that word, and perhaps that's
we're also conducting a drive, to make it more easier for you to interact with our people and with our Dreamsters. We are conducting a drive for the folks in Delhi, Gurgaon, Noida. We are going to be in the city of Gurgaon or Gurugram on the 16th and 17th of December. Please feel free to connect an event out, follow our LinkedIn page and you'll find it. Please register. We'd be happy to meet you.
Okay, and then perhaps the last question before we wrap up is how do you, so beyond the technical skills or the on-the-job or functional skills that you check when you interview every candidate, what else you look out for? What are the 2 or 3 top most important things that are a deal breaker for you, that you really are looking out and evaluating every candidate, every person who is willing to come into your team?
Yeah, so I think intellect matters, but it doesn't matter as much as how you work well with others. So in a team is absolutely critical. Giving your best is one thing, but working well and respecting decisions that the team is taking is equally important. And we talked about this earlier, and my product colleagues talked about how we look at hypotheses, how we look at experiments, actions, and learnings. I think coming to that and deciding and plugging operating system is equally important. So people who can adapt to that, regardless of where you're coming from, being able to adapt to this new framework of taking decisions that are in the interest of all Dreamsters. Firstly, most importantly, our users first, then all Dreamsters, then the team, and then yourself is important to us. So we look for that when we are speaking to potential Dreamsters, and that is a very, very important facet of how we choose our Dreamsters.
So in your interview process, do you have some sort of group interviews or a project that people have to do along with your team? Or how does
Yes, absolutely. So I think we do that for tech, we do that for HR, we do that for marketing. There could be a case study and you'll be presenting back to the team that you are being hired for. But more importantly, we expect the working relationship that you have with each other to be, one that you can challenge each other on. It's not about being nice only. It's about challenging and making sure that the work that you create is extremely powerful and valuable.
Okay, all right. So this was good. Maybe one last question, because a lot of people are asking the question. This is about freshers. They want to join the team, and what is your advice, or what is your comments to them?
Well, right now we don't have an opening for freshers listed on our site, but for I think 3 positions, 2 of them in product, and 1 of them in another function, most likely tech or data science. And what we're going to be doing is that we're going to be listing this out tomorrow on the platform. So, please feel free to apply and share it in your network with potential talent that you think, would appreciate this opportunity.
So that's great. I mean, I didn't expect that you would be open to getting freshers as well. So for all the freshers here, be happy, rejoice. You have been shown a path of entry by Kevin. So go ahead. They will be listing a job tomorrow. You'll be able to see that job in the event page. If you are a techie aiming for data science kind of a role, you have to impress them with your programming, logical programming skills to really get attention of Dream11 team. They're pretty busy right now. So with that, I think we will come to the end. A lot of questions coming in, but potentially we cannot take all of that. The whole team is waiting. It's like 8:30. So we will perhaps do this session again if there is enough interest again from the people. It looks like that way. So we'll go ahead and do it again. In the meantime, for this session of first Go Dream event with the awesome Dream11 team, I thank you all the team. All the team members of Dream11 who took out time, and I'm really impressed with the fact that you guys have been able to knock down 31 questions. I'm seeing a lot of detailed comments and answers to every question that is coming in, either on chat window or in the Q&A window, which is pretty impressive. Just shows the way you guys are committed to doing something nicely rather than just doing it half-heartedly. So that is, I think, again, something you can watch people and realize what their core values are. So it's pretty awesome to have that kind of culture where you guys are together. Parita has been coordinating it, so and she has been also writing some such detailed comments in the Q&A window. Hats off, great work, and I look forward to more interaction with you guys.
Yeah, so thank you everybody for listening in, and for everybody listening in, thank you for we look forward to having you. Come join us, make your career exciting with us.
All right. With that, it's time to say bye, good night, and then we'll be back with more interactions with Dream11 and other companies. All right. Thank you guys. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Yeah.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Yeah.